I think we'll be sharing the mic. But yeah.
So I would like to thank this, on behalf of the panel, thank for giving us this opportunity to speak about the advancement technology of battery electricity. And it's very essential to have all the kind of panel we have operated exactly because the thing is, my work doesn't get completed until before that. So I have to be who is creating a very safe actually the work technology. I have been a lot of technology from outside, across the world, innovative systems and things like government and innovation of India. And then I have so I'm creating battery globally is creating a lot of stuff which was unavailable in the market. And the chefs, they were not getting this kind of opportunity to use such kind of equipment which they are doing in India itself. And then finally, the users which are getting prepared in the industry, that is the job Mr. Shankar is doing. Dr. Shankar is with us. So thank you very much, all of you who joined us. So today's topic is about advancing technology, which has happened over a period of time. So things have moved on, and a lot of things have been, incorporated in the industry. So I would like to start with the journey of innovation. How does it happen? How the idea of working, concept in working places. So what do you think, how this company, have evolved over a period of time, the concept of the workplaces, where what something advances in terms of technology.
Yeah, so thanks, Alok. So what I'd like to first say is, of course, every innovation is worth picking up. But first you need to be aware that the innovation needs to be practical. So we have had a lot of cases where innovations have failed because the right concept to the right execution was not done. When I talk of concept, is the concept to solve a problem of your customers? Or is the concept because you need it or you want it? Now, the difference between need and want, similar in English, is need is what I think needs to be done. And want is what you, our customers, want it done. So if you're sure that there is a want, if whatever the innovation is, it is not clashing with your brand identity, then you should move ahead from the concept to the execution stage. Now the execution stage also is critical, where you need a multifunction product team, where you should have, obviously, the designers, who could be the engineering team, then it will be the users, which is chefs, F&B operators, it can include your customers and include your service team. Then we have to do what is called the product testing, which could be an alpha test or a beta test in the IT parlance, but in our case it is just putting it to use in the kitchen. And the last, which is most important, is to do a cost-benefit analysis. Is the cost the right cost? And the right cost will always depend on the features that we are giving to the customer. And last, which I briefly touched, is it clashing with your brand identity? For example, I don't know how many of you know, Coke introduced a drink called Coke Black. It was mainly a caffeinated drink. Can you imagine Coke? Can you imagine Coke and coffee together? Doesn't go well, right? It bombed in the market. So that's all I wanted to say.
Great, nice perspective. So, Dr. Shankar, how is this technology redefining the education, especially the culinary education we talk about?
Thank you. See, I'll start with how we were trained as a professional in our college. So we were always given a kind of a recipe, and majority of us sitting here we are trained like this. We have every class you have been given a recipe. You start reading the recipe, at times memorize it, and you are supposed to execute that recipe in your kitchen practicals or in your kitchen exams altogether. So that was the part. What the new generation technology has done is you have AR labs, you have IoT. So you visualize the entire process before going to the actual cooking process altogether. So what happens is you recipe mapping all together. So that becomes much more holistic learning for all the students altogether. So, see, now there are students, in fact, I'll say at our university, we are developing an AR/VR lab and an IoT. So what happens is the students are aware about the temperature where it's coming from and the entire food temperature routine which has been managed, and then they are habitual. How it happens is they get all the detailing of before getting onto the range. The product is much more better.
Right, it's nice to hear that education institutes are working so much hard on whatever technology is being already, and they are trying to bring it to the classrooms also to make sure that our new generation chefs are very competent and they come to the industry. So Sunil, ask you that how do you think your industry or technology, because that has really essentially part of all the things. So what kind of innovations you have done with your just because in of that?
Yeah, I think about a couple of examples before I start describing examples. It's really important to understand how critical is the water, not only for drinking, definitely we can't do without having a good safe water. It's really critical to have a good water quality for the health of the equipment and overall taste of the food. So coming back to the examples, the innovation and the challenge we have, we have noticed several fine dining restaurants, QSR, coffee was several locations we have had hard water dining, their experience equipment, be it quantity ovens, steamers, or ice making machines. So initially when we developed the product layout, so it is based upon the water test report what we get at the initial stage during the development of the store kitchen, what we call as well as store. So what we have observed, the major problem is why it was basically managing the water was at basically inconsistent source. So sometimes a combination of water from well, sometimes from corporation water, certainly the water is very good quality, and sometimes the supply is from tankers, permitting source is unknown. Maybe sometimes they get from river or boat. So we have over a period of time we have seen this inconsistent source of water has basically massively damaged the equipment because of scale build-up, and over a period of time it has affected the taste of the food, the ice making quality, the ice was started getting cloudy from very there. So what we did, we developed point of use. So when I say point of use is actually a product which is actually being installed before the equipment. So not at the entrance of any store or any kitchen. So with the mineralization point of use for every equipment, which ensured that the system will get right about the quality of every OEM or manufacturer like Belgium has basically mentioned that okay, this is the parameter of the water which has to go to the equipment, particular equipment. So we have seen a considerable significant reduction in the scale reduction in the increase the efficiency of the system, and thereby reduce the energy cost. And another example, we were working in the international coffee chain in Delhi. So we had this huge problem of high TDS because of the range of 6,000 to 8,000 rupees per TDS, and it's not a very one of the afford area of Delhi in cannot this. So we developed again an industrial grade water filtration system, and it's working fantastically now. And so in above what I'm trying to say here, so it's not like one size fits all everything. So one has to we understand the proper requirements and develop as per the student.
And also, when you talk about safety, there is a right set of right kind of qualities required in everything. So I would like to ask Ani, what are the challenges you feel that you guys have in something globally, and in technology development globally? So what are the challenges you face with your clients?
Thanks for the question. I think one of the challenges that all of us would agree to is that we are India. we have a culture, we have a tradition. And when you have a culture and a tradition, you want to preserve it. And then technology has to come into place as well. So having the technology and having the tradition together along with the technology, and to make sure that the person who's actually using the equipment is not compromising on their craft. So considering all of those factors is something that we have to, those are the challenging bits, but then they are the most exciting bits also. I'll share an example. One of the ranges that we've developed about a year ago, and it's doing really well, is our high pressure wok burner ranges. Now, the fact that heat changes the complete flavor profile, you know, how much of heat you're putting, how much of pressure you need as a chef, and especially when it comes to a cuisine like Pan Asian. So that kind of technology, to develop it and not compromise on the tradition and the way that a chef cooks. So how are we developing, and what's the journey that we've had is that we invite chefs to our experience center. We let them test. आप कर लो टेस्ट, आप बता दो what's wrong, what do you need, what is the pressure, what is the, I mean, we do a lot of R&D with the chefs, and once we know that the tradition and the technology are matching, that's when we actually launch it. So I think that's the way to go about it.
Yes, we have implemented as it is still our development stage and some kind of what we call a smart indicator. So it is already there, and yes, we have implemented again what we call as smart automation systems to do one of the filtration systems here is for some sensors where you can track the key parameters of the water, like you can basically track the input radius of the water or the temperature of the water, pressure of the water, how much of water that has used flow or what you say, and the flow. So these has enabled us to basically for an early detection leaks, trigger alarm calls, and overall it has helped us to basically get a data information and when is the return package has to happen or service is due. And overall, it has greatly how it has impacted considerable amount of cost saving for our service providers to basically number of calls per minute and ultimately to the end user. But yes, I feel that now there is that there are challenges associated with it. Personally, I am involved with one of the projects globally, and there has been really a lot of challenges, especially some global change, where the issue comes with the data owner, who owns the data, and it is still unknown.
Great. So, what do you think about these kind of technologies which are getting involved? The kind of skill set that is required, are we able to, shape up our new generation according to that? Is that our institutes and schools are getting developed on?
Thank you. See, all these, the basic thing, what generally the industry perceptions are that the institutes are not moving that much faster. However, where we believe that young chefs in terms of, they should be aware about the technology, they should be knowing the technology, but in terms of how you use, how Mr. Mukherjee said, that you need to have a very cost benefit analysis altogether, where you see what is the cost or input for any technology to be required. However, in terms of the students altogether, that the new AI or the IoT thing, all these things are coming into the curriculum altogether. I can say you at my university altogether, we have started a school of artificial intelligence altogether. So that's a specialized school,
Wow.
and that is not for engineering. That is all for the business management and the graduate schools altogether, and in healthcare, in hospitality. So there are a chain of programs beside coming from AI, and that too in a business management environment. So you have hospitality, you have healthcare, all those things are included and certain industry, the universities are taking it. Some of the universities who are taking a leapfrog approach in terms of using AI and incorporating into the curriculum.
These advanced equipment which are available. So how do you see that the skill set which is available versus the manufacturing what you guys are doing? Considering you are also considering this automation and
Yes, we definitely consider. And so what happens is, for us, when you talk about the journey and how advanced we can make the technology, it starts from the scratch, you know. So when a kitchen is designed, when an equipment is designed, so right at the design, right at the main root stage of the equipment is when you start thinking about all of these steps. So that's the way to go about it, because you have to do a reverse thinking mechanism. You have to think of what is it that is the end product, and in order to achieve, what is it that we want. So when you do that reverse mechanism, that's when you get into it. I'll give an example, because one of the things that we've developed is our holding trolleys. It's a food holding trolley. And the fact that we were also talking about the food grade standards by FSSAI, and we know that there was a problem and the food needs to be kept at a certain range. And if you don't hold the temperature, whatever, above 65, the chefs would know, but if it is not held, we have bacteria building. Forget about how we are regenerating, but the health is a problem. And there are equipment out there, not that they're not there internationally, but whether you have a local solution, whether you have the local service, and how are you able to do it. So that's where all of those designing, I mean, you identify the problem, you do the reverse mechanism, and that's when you get into the whole stage and you define your journey. So that's what we do.
It's very, I will talk about sustainability and what is topic right now. Do you really think of the sustainability and energy efficiency, or how do we make sure that is having less carbon footprint, and these aspects are also in your
Yes. Okay, so sustainability, one of the most interesting thing about sustainability, sustainable क्या है जो लंबा चले. So that's what our equipment is. मतलब आप, even our parent company is by the name of Relief India. Even today we go to oldest of hotels and the likes of this one, and the chefs are saying कि आपका तो relief वाला equipment अभी तक चल रहा है. So I think the best thing about sustainability is that make something that lasts. Because if you're making something that is lasting, that's when your resources are not wasted. That's when you are using less of material. So once you have developed those kind of equipment, those gauge and everything, that's where the sustainability starts. And now coming at the recent level of sustainability, it's all about waste management. And for that, in our production house, we have a very set SOP of how there is no waste, whatever equipment is made and whatever is the stuff that is remaining, how and where we are using it. So there is a complete SOP for those also.
So sustainability is something which is non-negotiable. So we have our resources getting depleted day by day. True. So I think 15, 20 years back that was more of a fashion. But the challenge is how sustainable can you be without compromising on a little bit of tradition and a little bit of performance per se. For example, Alok, you will know, the most sustainable way of cooking is induction, right? So induction means you're putting heat directly into the fire. You're not using a gas stove to keep it heat and give Sohini a little bit more extra business by giving a better extraction system. So if you use an extraction system, your exhaust system comes down. But there is a limit to the scale by which you can use induction. So we have to move to, if not electric, move to gas. But then as Sohini mentioned in our presentation, there are some chefs, especially who are doing more of Asian cuisine, they need a little bit of heat. So while we would love to be sustainable, But there will be a restriction that if I need a high heat of 600 degrees, I need a gas flame. So it's a penalty on the extraction system. So it's always, as I said, the right balance between performance, tradition, and what is sustainable. It could also be using less water for cooking. So for example, any combination cooking where you're using steam, it uses less water. You don't waste water. So waste is also important. You just don't throw away water. You use chemicals which are friendly to the environment, or you use less chemicals. So it's not a single idea. It's a combination of this, and obviously you're looking at the process. For example, recently we also learning about cook, freeze, chill. So you can't cook fresh. Tradition is the chef will tell you, oh, I'll cook fresh. It's not possible to cook for 4 people, cook fresh and give it. It's not possible. Cooking the dal itself will take 40 minutes. Can you do that now? So why don't you then cook it, use a good blast chiller to chill it, and then when it is ready, you serve it. So it's already there. It's what makes sense and what makes me commercial.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the education we talk about is, as I said, it's about extraction, right? Which is the less electricity, less gas.
I'm Sohani.
What are the laws?
Sohani.
I said Sohini.
The right quantity of water, the availability of the right quantity of water is also becoming very difficult. What do you think in terms of understanding this particular approach, what else you guys are doing to make sure that you get the right quantity of water and use it appropriately? So, what is your view on that?
There are a number of ways to do it, but unfortunately, because of the industrialization or a lot of parameters, the water that comes to back, it's really almost impossible to do unless you filter it out. So, and when you filter it out, you cannot just filter away and it's zero waste. So something has to go wasted, but yes, we have developed systems basically really capable of the previous units, water wastage. Let's take an example. The first important thing with a good quality water filtration system, which will ensure scaling not happen. Because that is the main reason it increases the energy cost and it keeps down the efficiency of the system. So let's take an example. We have developed some filtration systems that have been built. Sensors, flow sensors, which basically work on the consumption. So, how much is your water requirement per day? Let's take an example. Your per day consumption is 20,000. You will set a thousand liters, and you spend 1,000 liters. You will not get consumption. So, if you go zero, then you start getting so, we have systems indicator, we have actually shows the input and output media, so we can change the strategy to what we want to do. Third is definitely we have traditionally using and in the water. But at last, the most important point is before opening the kitchen or filling that and coffee. It's very important to get the water test done, understand engineering parameters, talk to an expert, and there is no rights undersize or oversize, but choose products as per your requirement and demand. Definitely, we have seen that we considerable reduction in the energy and water consumption.
Right. So, basically, there are a lot of vast charges, a lot of electricity, volume, vast systems. But India is a platform which is known for the hospitality, and there is a lot of food. So, Dr. Chandra, what do you think? I just want to ask you that, do you really feel that this is a threat to our industry, that we will not technology, we will miss out on the
We are talking for ourselves.
In two ways. See, the technology, all those tools, all those data analytics can give you what I have, what I like to have. So you can have the entire set of data, an entire set of things being fed to you that this is what I. However, a smile is a smile. A personal touch is always a personal touch. However, I will just say, the students or how I teach, you take all those technologies with you. You have those, they can be a tool to decide your mind who is the, in fact, we have created, the humans have created here. So you use your mind, use your common sense at that point of time. But again, take that decision. But doing that decision, use all the tools which is available to you so that you make a very kind of a wise performance.
And also, Ravi, that after what you're seeing after 10 years, are humans serving in the restaurants or chef, they are making food or any robots are making food in the kitchen?
You already have. But again, how I see it, in terms of, it's a very good question altogether that we all see the changes which is happening in today's life, that what will happen after 5 years. I can take a clue of what will generally how a student should prepare or what people should prepare in 5 years. Is you need to have basic things you can have. I can directly correlate with a chef from Italy and work on a menu altogether. So it's cook, code and connect. So all people, all chefs should be having a kind of a basic information of coding altogether. And this is what we have done. And we have done introduction to AR in all our hospitality programs in semester 1. So coding, basic coding. So you need to cook, you need to code something like how you have, you need to have something like a digital marketing. So every chef should be a decent enough photographer to put his or her creation on Instagram. So he has to be, and then people who are good with in terms of technology, in terms of camera work, are getting a benefit. You can see all the benefits they are getting in. So the thing, three C's, cook, code, and connect. So if you start doing it, getting in these 5 years, there will be people who will move very much advanced in their professional skills already.
Great. So, one question I want to do that how this culinary and the advancement which is happening parallelly, in terms of culinary also there is a lot of advancement. How do you think what is the balance which is coming in upcoming years or differently how it's facing the market?
So if you ask about how the balance is in the future, I think we should aim for not having automated kitchens, but we should aim for having assisted kitchens. I mean, chefs need that assistance. Let the technology assist. For example, the technology can define the planned maintenance that is to be done. The technology can define the ergonomics, the technology can define the heat regulation and all. But the technology shouldn't be defining the art of the chef. So let it be a balance and let it be an assisted kitchen, and that's, I think, what all of us together are aiming. I think we're all going there.
We can also take a couple of questions from the audience if there is any. What do you think that is the food service business is partnering the kind of industry, and is it coming together as a advancement?
Sorry, that was to me? I didn't get your question.
What I'm saying is the is coming in days. So how is the industry partnering with this technology and how is it moving forward? If you can come in instead of that.
So obviously you can see the Indian Culinary Forum happening, the 13 Knowledge Summit and discussing about technology. So obviously the important influencers of the industry are thinking about technology and wanting their students and the future chefs to know about technology, what technology is there to, and as Swani said, either an assisted kitchen or an automated kitchen, whatever it is, there's a technology. But we need to be aware when you talk of technology, and pardon me for using a quote of an important person called Steve Jobs. He said, technology is not important. What is important is you have smart and intelligent people, you give them the right tools, and they will do wonders. So I think it's the people which is very important. You can have the best technology in the world, but if you don't have smart and intelligent people, it's all going to fail.
Great. So I will go for a rapid questions. Basically, one question to all. The first question to Swani. What do you think? What is your favorite culinary innovation for today?
Oh, my favorite culinary innovation. It has to be something that we were just talking about called Beast is the name that we've given. So it's a grill, and it's a grill which can work on multi levels of cooking, and the mechanism and the multi-level and what a chef can do and the number of recipes that can come out of it, number of cuisines that can come out of it. So I think that's an innovation that I'm really fond of.
Automation versus traditional technology.
I think you always reserve a couple of So I would again, I'll always try to take a mid approach. I will say automation with the right technology, which is not at contradiction with what your brand is. And again, I'll quote a very live example. Starbucks in the US, there was an Indian CEO in the Starbucks, and thanks to the COVID, Starbucks introduced this ordering system. So people used to queue up, order, and then go out and have their coffee in the car. The sales of Starbucks tanked very badly. Why? Because Starbucks stands for great coffee experience. You can't experience by taking a cup of coffee and going into the car and having it. So now they have stopped ordering in the store, and they say, "You welcome to the store, come and have the Starbucks experience." Yeah. So it's basically what the customers come here for. Customers go to Starbucks because they want to sit, they want the free Wi-Fi, they want a good, comfortable seating, and an excellent toilet, and then have their coffee.
It's a lifestyle. Very, very important. And what do you think? 2030, how are things will look like?
Definitely smart. Maybe the AI is going to play a very important role. We never know how it will take. Then if it goes out, or then if we take orders, shopping vegetables, complete equipment, also going to be definitely connected. Inventory will happen on based on the basically important mood of the customer.
What is coming out of the classrooms?
See, I'll start with taking the final product. We start with the starting. But what happens is the chefs, they don't like to work they don't like to what the Russian chef because in terms of automation or in terms of assistance, they don't like somebody assisting them all the time. So this is one of the things is you need to have a mindset of an AI co-mentor. So the co-mentor works with you. It's a tool altogether. It works on your recipe. It works on your likes, dislikes, all the things. It's not technically a teacher, but it works with you and it suggests you to become better. So when they go to the industry, or what Arnab or what Ma'am said, they'll be much more receptive of these technologies, assisting them rather than very kind of stonewalling them, something like that. They think that this is going to get my job altogether. So this is you need to enhance all together, and this is the initial stage has to be your AI co-assistant or co-pilot.
Fantastic. So this is a great session what we have carried out. We have discussed about a lot of things. So as a closing remark, I would like to thank go progress with the industry, with all the chefs, new chefs sitting out here that will be going to give them really advanced kitchen in the coming future. And the chefs, the backend chefs which are joining them, they are also confident enough the right kind of energy saving and right kind of product which is required for the industry. So thank you very much everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Nice. Nice with you. Nice.
Well done.